Well, but you see the great benefits that have come in Georgia. I mean, you and Gia have grown up in a time where you experienced both worlds.
Yes.
And you can see that this is a much more prosperous world with more freedom, and how much more it can be with even greater freedom. And the countries with very little economic freedom also have very little wealth, little prosperity, and it hurts those people very much. So the evidence, I think, is very, very strong that freedom has a practical benefit. But the most important thing is that it's ethical.
მოგესალმებით მეგობრებო. დღეს ჩვენი სტუმარია ჩვენი წიგნის, რომელსაც ამდენი გადაცემის განმავლობაში წერდით და ვარჩევდით სხვადასხვა სტუმრებთან ერთად, ამ წიგნის ავტორი ბატონი კენ სკულანდი. ჩვენი გადაცემის წაყვანაში გვეხმარებიან ია ჯანდიერი, ჩემი მეგობარი და კამერის უკან დგას ლაშა ჩინჩალაძე. ყავს რამდენიმე ჩამწრეს, რომელსაც მოგვიანებით გაგაცნობთ. ეხლა სიტყვა გადავცემთ ბატონ კენ სკულანდს, ის თავის შესახებ მოგიყვება, საუბარი რა თქმა უნდა წარიმართება ინგლისურ ენაზე, თქვენ შეგეძლებათ სუბტიტრებით ნახოთ თუ ინგლისური ენა არ გესმით. თუ არა და თუ ინგლისური გესმით, მაშინ ძალიან ადვილი იქნება და სასიამოვნო მოსასმენი ბატონი კენი, იმიტომ რომ ძალიან სასიამოვნო მოსაუბრია. Please Ken, say something about yourself and so we will go.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me and my wife here too. We're really very grateful to be here. Well, I'm from the United States. I was born in Colorado, grew up in Arizona, and then I lived some time in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. I then went to I left the government service in Washington, D.C. and decided to go into teaching up in Alaska. And I taught in Alaska and Hawaii and Japan. Throughout this time, I've been very active with kind of spreading the ideas of free markets and individual liberty. Obedience to the state was often a very, very big, prominent objective of education systems in the last couple hundred years. So then I decided to make it into a dialogue, a story, because I had read Gulliver's Travels and The Little Prince and some stories that told very profound philosophical messages in a fun and enjoyable way that made people laugh. It was often filled with satire. And I decided to develop a way of talking about the local issues in economics in this story form. But I got in my mind the first thought that really it's either the government is running everyone like a master over slaves, or individuals run their own lives and the government is there just simply to help them. A spectrum of more governmental control and less governmental control.
Yes.
Probably the most governmental control today might be in North Korea, where it's almost as absolute as you could find. Well, but you see the great benefits that have come in Georgia. I mean, you and Gia have grown up in a time where you experienced both worlds.
Yes.
And you can see that this is a much more prosperous world with more freedom, and how much more it can be with even greater freedom. And the countries with very little economic freedom also have very little wealth, little prosperity, and it hurts those people very much. So the evidence, I think, is very, very strong that freedom has a practical benefit. But the most important thing is that it's ethical. Well, I hate to say that probably one of the drawbacks in every society is that the government is in control of the education. So the government is constantly telling people from the day that they first go to school to the day that they end school that the government is their friend, the government is their guardian and protector, and that they must rely on government for all the good benefits that Big Brother and Big Sister would bring to them.
I think there are actually many people who want to be controlled and who does not want any freedom. They say that they want freedom, but they don't want freedom. And that's why basically most of the regimes and communism and Nazism and fascism happen. Because most of the people just want to follow the herd and just do whatever they are told to do. That is the issue, not the freedom itself.
I think it's correct time to show question. To put the question.
People don't know how to handle their own lives.
As Milton Friedman was absolutely correctly saying, the free stuff is only the mousetrap. So you need to understand that nothing is free. Somebody is going to trap you with these free things.
They're easy to live with contradictions because democracy is a matter of whim. It's not a matter of philosophy. It's just how I feel at the moment, and it's a whim of envy. You know, if you have more money than he has, then they feel they don't like you to have more money than this person, or if you have more money than me, it doesn't seem right. And so democracy is just a tool for exercising envy. It seems like we've become so accustomed to inflation. Over the last 100 years, we've had nothing but inflation, and so we assume that it's inevitable. Just like a volcano, there's nothing you can do about it. But it's not inevitable. For hundreds of years, thousands of years before that, inflation didn't exist as long as there was a gold standard. And people became very accustomed to a standard value of their purchasing power. And therefore they had motive to save, motive to earn money, motive to invest. And all of that's been completely turned upside down and shattered by inflation. I would say that governments would probably never be fighting wars if they couldn't print money. Because to fight a war, they would actually tax the people directly to pay for the war, which is a very expensive thing. And most people would say, can't we find some way to avoid this war if they had to pay for it directly? So inflation, by printing money to pay for every war, is the easiest way to pay for any war. And this has been true throughout history. Kings and emperors have always thought of a way to pay for wars without taxing the people directly. But I'm really hopeful that you'll have great success with this new publication. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of response you have here. And of course, we'll have ongoing relationship for many years to come in promoting free markets, free and individual rights.
Yes, we should promote in Georgia and not only in Georgia, around the world.
Yes, that's right.
What your book does, and
Yeah.
I hope we will continue.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
having me. Yeah.
Thanks.
Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, yeah.